I have recently just finished my second animated short film, and I've been left feeling a bit disappointed. Unlike the first time around, I think the art is really good, and I learned from all the mistakes I made with my first short, A Father's Journey. I had so many great experiences while working on it, whether animating, writing, making the music, or recording lines with my friends and family. I even think that comparing it to my first film, the second one, technically and creatively, my new short film, SPIs, is so much better, but why do I still feel I failed? I made a lot of mistakes on SPIs, and today we're going to get both to the bottom of those, but the reason I feel unsatisfied. The first thing we are going to cover are the differences between SPIs and A Father's Journey, so we can understand what makes these two projects so different and why I feel so different. At the end of A Father's Journey, I made a video on this channel discussing the creation of that first short film and some of my mistakes. I will be making a similar video talking about the process and breaking down the story elements, but that will be another video. I had a lot of takeaways, and at the end of Father's Journey on improving, like doing the complete hand-drawn animation, drawing the backgrounds instead of compiling them, and writing an actual script. I did all of these things, but I also had some heavy style differences between these two shorts. The biggest and most blatant is the fact that SPIs has dialogue and Father's Journey does not. This not only meant I needed to learn to have the characters speak, making the mouths move, I also needed to worry about timing more, voice acting, dialogue writing, and I definitely needed sound design on this. Although I was great at learning quickly on both SPIs and A Father's Journey, we'll later discuss why dialogue really hurt the project and how I messed it up so badly. Another important thing to note is both projects have heavy different tones. While A Father's Journey was supposed to be an aesthetic experience for a school project, to really try and make the audience feel something, SPI started more as a joke project which materialized, never really had definition. And to add insult to injury, I changed course many times on the project. Now, the biggest was after I saw Across the Spider-Verse. The script was finished early May, but it shared many similarities to Spider-Verse. After watching Spider-Verse, I made some changes to the project. The biggest is having Chuck in the car and basically have him be the SPI's poster child, as in the organization, not the short film. Originally, Morbius was going to be in the car, which is Linguini, but after one finalizing the background character's design, then realizing it looks like Jerome, something clicked. As a reference to Spider-Verse, wouldn't it be cool if the person stopped Jerome was a family member, someone who looked just like him? I was obsessed with the idea, but I had it far too late on for it to work. Chuck was supposed to be the super spy who was infamous but rarely got mentioned. Because I was already in the middle of animating, I couldn't just go back and change dialogue to have mentions of him both from Jerome and the spies. And that caused mentions of Chuck to be thrown in last minute and didn't fit in. In Spanish script, I did actually get one inclusion where Alador describes Jerome as, "It's the best spy we've ever seen besides you know who." Stuff like that, or seeing Chuck in the book, that is what would make the twist work, instead of just being confusing like I think it ended up being. But having a poorly executed twist wasn't the real quick kicker, and it certainly wouldn't kill the project. The real thing I messed up was advice I've heard time after time, but I never really got a chance to practice on A Father's Journey. As Father's Journey had music, I didn't really feel I needed sound effects. I thought about it, but it didn't really work, though it may have improved it a tiny bit. But because SPIs had dialogue, it needed sound design. SPI suffers from dialogue of varying levels, especially in Spanish, questionable sound effects, weird music mixing, and unbalanced audio levels all around. There are many things to blame for this. First of all, I was very inexperienced, and I've never needed to do sound effects, mix all the different songs, and deal with so many pieces of dialogue. I also needed to change all the lines into Spanish, and since I didn't want to completely re-edit the project and put all the different audio pieces back in and re-level, the mixing there is even worse than English, since it was balanced for the English pieces of dialogue. I tried to tweak it, but even then, it was really hard. I also think it would have been much better if I waited a few days to put the animation out and just waited so I could use a new software. The week I edited SPIs, I knew I would be getting a new laptop by the end of it. I tried to rush through the editing because I knew I wouldn't be able to move everything over, all the sound effects and clips and dialogue. But if I waited, I probably would have been able to edit a lot much better, and if I just spent like 30 minutes, I could have moved everything. My old PC had 64 gigabytes of storage, and while editing SPIs, I was down to 3. Now, I knew the first thing I would be downloading on my new computer would be DaVinci Resolve, as I would finally have the space and be able to run it because I have enough RAM now. I normally use OpenShot to edit, and I still do. That's probably what I'm editing this video in, because it's easy and my videos aren't too complex to make, but in some cases, it's limited, and one of them being sound mixing, especially with so many different sounds. Making sure you can control how loud or quiet some things are, extremely difficult in that program. I definitely think the sound mixing could have been better if I waited a bit longer, though the majority of the fault is still on me, and if I did things wrong while recording lines, making songs, and creating the sound effects. One more thing, I probably went a bit overkill. I made 30-ish sound effects, I believe, and I don't think I needed that much. While watching shows, I realized you don't really hear that many sound effects, so overkill maybe. So, what have I learned? In future projects, I definitely need to write a more descriptive script and stick to it. With the changes in tone, it's very hard to give myself deadlines as well, as it took a while to figure out how I would animate, and that cost me a lot of time. I also need to be more collaborative. While filming Spanish Lines, I rethought so much about the project just by needing to explain the story to a friend and hearing how he read the lines that really impacted me and made me want to change a lot of things. In future, I probably will be filming Spanish Lines first, just so I have the other person trying to understand the story. Because I filmed the Spanish Lines 1-2 days before it went out, so I didn't have a chance to change things. I also want to be better at sequencing. For the English lines, I would just record everything before animating the scene, and the music, Chuck's songs, all the sound effects, they were all done after the animation was finished in 1 week. So I didn't really have time to learn if I wanted to because it was all condensed afterwards, and I can't include that in the script. I can't plan for that. Having it all done beforehand could have been very useful as I get better at understanding the scene and the tone. Like, for example, in most film scripts, you have this music in the dialogue. If you have a song, that's in the dialogue. And that will create much more cohesive scenes and also make the sound feel more integrated to the story. Finally, sound design. I will be trying my best to work on sound design in every way, mixing the levels, merging audio tracks, and having everything feel cohesive. That's the most important part. The sound design really destroyed my project. Now, don't get the impression I hate SPIs. I love the project so much, and I have so many fond memories. I love the art style, some of the subtle moments with Easter eggs. They all make me so happy. But the point is, the project didn't work, and if I am to improve, I must understand why SPIs failed. With this knowledge, hopefully I can turn my next short film into the masterpiece I envision in my head, though I most likely will be making more mistakes, and I'll be ready to share them with you on this channel. Stay tuned, I am planning on making a video covering the art of SPIs, about the storyboards, the subtle scenes, different songs, how I made it, my intentions with certain choices, all that, so make sure to subscribe. Also, here's a video covering what went wrong with my first short film, A Father's Journey, so if you liked this video, make sure to check that one out. Thanks for watching. I'm Gabriel. This is Stripe Studios. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, bye!